Before you start watching, please help the channel thrive, give it a like, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. In part 1 of this rant, we tore apart the absolute disaster the casting for Amazon's The Wheel of Time. We talked about the writer's obsession with performative diversity over coherent world building. We talked about the lazy, activist actors who spent more time pushing their political agendas off screen than they did learning their lines or reading the books. And we talked about how all of that was just the first crack in the foundation of what would become one of the biggest missed opportunities in television history. Oi. We are going to dig into the real rot at the center of this show, the terrible writing, the glacial pacing, the complete destruction of the core lore that makes the Wheel of Time so special. And we are going to answer the question of exactly how Amazon managed to take a guaranteed hit of a fantasy series and run it straight into the ground so badly that it got canceled after only 3 seasons. Let me start with the most obvious and most complained about flaw of this entire show. The pacing, or more accurately, the complete lack of understanding of how to pace an epic fantasy series. If you are making a show about the end of the world, about a dark lord who is about to break free and destroy everything, about a chosen one who has to save humanity, there is a certain pace that you need to set. You need to build tension. You need to move the story forward. You need to give the audience a reason to keep watching, to care about whether the heroes win or lose. The writers of The Wheel of Time did the exact opposite. They took a story with non-stop action, with high stakes, with constant twists and turns, and turned it into a slow, meandering, boring mess that makes watching paint dry look like an exciting thrill ride. Let me give you the perfect example. The first season of the show is 8 episodes long. 8 episodes to introduce the world, to introduce the core characters, to set up the central conflict of the entire series. And what do the writers do? They spend 4 entire episodes, half of the entire first season, still in the 2 rivers, still messing around with petty high school drama, with who is kissing who, with who is mad at who. The world is literally about to end. The Dark One's armies are hunting the Dragon Reborn. Trollocs are slaughtering people left and right. And the writers are more interested in filming a will they won't they between 2 teenagers. It is mind-boggling. It is like they had no idea what kind of show they were making. They thought they were making a teen drama for the CW, not an epic fantasy series that is supposed to be the next Game of Thrones. And the worst part is, when the show actually does get to the big moments, the iconic scenes from the books the fans have waited decades to see, the writers rush through them in 5 minutes. They give them no weight, no emotion, no time to land. Take the battle at Fal Dara, or the Battle of the Shining Walls, or any of the other huge, epic battles from the books. These are moments that span entire chapters. That changed the course of the story, that defined the characters, and the show blasts through them in less time than it takes to make a cup of coffee. But when it comes to a random, unnecessary romantic subplot that was not even in the books, the writers will spend an entire episode on it. They will give it more screen time than the actual main plot of the series. It is like the writers had their priorities completely backwards. They did not understand that people watch epic fantasy for the epic moments, for the high stakes, for the battles, for the world-ending conflict. They did not understand that no one tunes into the Wheel of Time to watch a bunch of people sit around and talk about their feelings for 45 minutes. They did not understand that the slow, character-building moments need to serve the main plot, not the other way around. And because of that, the show feels completely unbalanced. It feels like nothing happens for episodes at a time. And then when something does happen, it is over before you even have time to process it. It is exhausting to watch. It is boring, and it is no wonder that so many casual viewers checked out after the first few episodes. And the pacing is not the only problem with the writing. The entire narrative structure of the show is a complete mess. The main plot of The Wheel of Time is simple. Find the Dragon Reborn. Prepare them to fight the Dark One. Save the world. That is the core of the story. That is the through line that ties every single book together. But the writers of the show seem to forget that every single episode, they will go off on random tangents, on side plots that go nowhere, on character arcs that have nothing to do with the main story. They will spend an entire episode focusing on the internal politics of the Red Aja, with zero context for casual viewers, and then they will not mention the Dragon Reborn once the entire episode. They will spend half a season on the Aiel clans, and never explain who the Aiel are, or why they matter. They will set up plot points, and then never resolve them. They will introduce characters, and then drop them without a second thought. The worst example of this is the mystery of who the Dragon Reborn is. In the books, this is a mystery that is set up in the very first chapter, and it is built up slowly and carefully over the entire first book. There are clues, there are red herrings, there are moments that make you question everything, and when the reveal finally happens, it feels earned. It feels impactful. It changes everything. But what did the show do? They revealed who the Dragon Reborn is at the end of the first season, and then immediately started backtracking on it. They spent the next 2 seasons hinting that maybe it was someone else, maybe it was multiple people, maybe the entire prophecy was wrong. They took the core driving force of the entire story and turned it into a cheap, lazy plot twist that they kept changing every single episode. It is like they had no respect for the audience's intelligence. Like they thought we would just go along with whatever random twist they pulled out of their asses. Even if it made no sense. Even if it broke the entire lore of the world. And that brings us to the most unforgivable sin of the entire show. The complete and utter destruction of the core lore and world building of the Wheel of Time. The Wheel of Time is not just a story about characters and battles. It is a world built on rules. On a magic system that is tight, consistent, and perfectly thought out. Every single part of the world, from the Aes Sedai Ajahs to the One Power, to the way the Wheel of Time itself works, is built on rules that the books never break. These rules are not just background details. They are the foundation of the entire story. They are the reason the plot works. They are the reason the characters' choices matter. And the writers of the show took these rules and threw them out the window whenever it was convenient for their lazy writing. Let's start with the Aes Sedai and the 7 Ajahs. In the books, each Ajah has a very specific purpose, a very specific philosophy, a very specific role to play in the White Tower. The Red Ajah hunts male channelers who can go mad from the taint on Saidin. The Blue Ajah deals with politics and intrigue and causes. The Green Ajah is the Battle Ajah, preparing for the last battle. The Yellow Ajah heals. The Brown Ajah preserves knowledge. The White Ajah focuses on logic and philosophy. The Gray Ajah is mediators and negotiators. These Ajahs are not just different colored dresses. They are the backbone of the White Tower. They define every Aes Sedai's life, their choices, their powers, their alliances. They are a core part of what makes the world of the Wheel of Time so rich and complex. But what did the show do? They completely erased the identities of the Ajahs. The Red Ajah is no longer a group of dedicated women who uphold the law and protect the world from mad male channelers. They are just a bunch of cartoonish villains who run around yelling and being evil for no reason. The Blue Ajah is no longer a group of master manipulators and political geniuses. They are just a bunch of women who care more about their love lives than they do about saving the world. The other Ajahs might as well not even exist. They get 0 screen time, 0 development, 0 explanation. The only difference between the Ajahs in the show is the color of their clothes. That is it. The writers stripped away all of the nuance, all of the complexity, all of the world building, and turned the White Tower into a generic Mean Girls high school with magic. But even that is not the worst lore break. The worst thing the writers did was completely destroy the rules of the One Power. The One Power is the magic system of the Wheel of Time, and it has 2 halves. Saidin, the male half, and Sidar, the female half. Men can only channel Saidin. Women can only channel Sidar. This is not just a random detail. This is the core of the entire story. This is the reason the Dark One was able to break the world. This is the reason male channelers go mad. This is the reason the Red Ajah exists. This is the reason the Dragon Reborn is so dangerous, so important. This single rule is the foundation of every single plot point in the entire series, and the writers just changed it. They made it so women can channel Saidin, and men can channel Sidar whenever they want, for no reason. When I saw that happen on screen, I literally threw my remote at the TV. I could not believe what I was seeing. The writers broke the single most important rule of the entire series, the rule that everything else is built on, and they did it for a cheap, lazy plot twist. They did it because they could not be bothered to write a story that follows the rules of the world. They did it because they thought the audience was too stupid to notice, too stupid to care, and once they broke that rule, everything else fell apart. The magic system became completely inconsistent. It changed every single episode. Characters could do things that were impossible in the books, for no reason, with no explanation. The stakes disappeared, because if the rules can change whenever the writers want them to, then nothing matters. None of the characters' choices matter. None of the danger feels real. It is just lazy. Disrespectful writing at its absolute worst. And it is not just the big lore breaks either. It is the small things too. The way they completely destroyed Rand's character arc, turning him from a reluctant farm boy who grows into a powerful, tragic leader, into a whiny, inconsistent mess who has no idea what he is doing. The way they turn Matt from a charming, clever rogue with a heart of gold, into a selfish, unlikable idiot who does nothing but cause problems. The way they strip Perrin of his entire personality, turning him from a gentle giant who struggles with his own strength, into a brooding, boring edgelord who talks to wolves once a season. Every single character in the show is worse than their book counterpart. Every single one. They have no growth, no arc, no consistency. They just do whatever the writers need them to do that episode, whether it makes sense for their character or not. And then there are the special effects, or should I say, the completely lackluster, lazy special effects. Amazon spent hundreds of millions of dollars on this show, and I have no idea where that money went, because it certainly did not go into the special effects. This is a fantasy series. The special effects are supposed to wow you. They are supposed to make you believe in this world, in the magic, in the monsters. But the effects in the Wheel of Time look like they were made on a shoestring budget for a sci-fi original movie in 2008. Take the Trollocs. In the books, Trollocs are terrifying. Half man, half beast. Monsters that eat people, that are the vanguard of the Dark One's army. They are supposed to be imposing, scary, a real threat. But in the show, they look like a bunch of guys in cheap rubber Halloween masks. They move like they are wearing heavy costumes that they can barely walk in. They fight like they have never held a weapon before in their lives. There is no threat, no terror, no weight to them. When they show up on screen, you do not feel scared for the characters. You just laugh at how ridiculous they look. And the one power effects are even worse. In the books, channeling the one power is a huge deal. It is a force that can level mountains, that can destroy entire armies, that can bend the very fabric of reality. It is supposed to feel powerful, awe-inspiring, epic. But in the show, and it looks like cheap fireworks, like someone is holding a sparkler up to the camera. Characters channel the one power, and all you see is a little bit of blue or red light, a few sparks, nothing that feels like it has any weight, any power, any impact. When two Aes Sedai fight, it looks like two kids throwing water balloons at each other, not two of the most powerful people in the world battling it out. It is embarrassing, it is cheap, and it completely takes you out of the world. The sets and the costumes are just as bad. The White Tower, the most iconic building in the entire series. The home of the Aes Sedai, the center of power in the Westlands, looks like a cheap hotel in Las Vegas. It has no grandeur, no weight, no sense of history. The cities look like small-town movie sets. The costumes look like they were bought off the rack at a costume store. The Aes Sedai's dresses have none of the elegance, none of the authority, none of the detail that they have in the books. Everything about this show feels cheap, feels rushed, feels like no one cared about making it look good, about making it feel real. When you add all of this up, it is no wonder the show got canceled. It is no wonder viewership tanked with every season. It is no wonder the fans turned on it. Amazon had everything they needed to make a classic, a defining fantasy series for a generation. And they wasted it. They wasted it on lazy writers who did not respect the source material. On actors who cared more about their political agendas than they did about the story. On producers who cared more about checking boxes than they did about making a good show. They took a masterpiece of fantasy literature and turned it into a cheap, boring, disrespectful mess. And the saddest part of all is that it did not have to be this way. The Wheel of Time could have been amazing. It could have been the next Game of Thrones. It could have introduced millions of new people to this incredible world, to these incredible characters, but instead, it is just a footnote, cautionary tale about what happens when you take a beloved IP and put it in the hands of people who do not care about it, who do not understand it, who only see it as a way to make money and push their own agendas. If you made it this far, and you feel the same way I do, if this show broke your heart too, do me a favor, hit the like button on this video, share it with every other Wheel of Time fan you know, so we can all rant about this disaster together, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because we are going to keep talking about the Wheel of Time, about the books, about what the show should have been, and about all the other fantasy adaptations that get butchered by studios who do not care. Before we end, I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what you think the real reason the Wheel of Time got canceled was. Was it the terrible writing, the lore breaks, the bad pacing, the lazy acting? Tell me what you would have done differently if you were in charge of the adaptation. Tell me your favorite parts of the books that the show completely ruined. Let's keep this conversation going. Let's keep this fandom alive, even after Amazon did everything they could to kill it.